let's get to 2025 because we're 2 hours and 10 minutes into the stream, and we really got to run down 2025 here quickly. So let's start with shows, because as of now, 2025 is a blank slate for Star Wars TV. We're all highly anticipating Japan's Star Wars Celebration because as of now, there are 2 Star Wars TV shows coming out in 2025. The first is Andor Season 2, which we've all been looking forward to, and most likely was delayed because they had no other Star Wars shows in 2025 because it was supposed to come out in 2024. Andor Season 2 will be 12 episodes, and it will ultimately culminate in the connection to Andor Cassian's first appearance in Rogue One. Both of us, I'm sure, are very excited for this. I think all of you, this is probably your most anticipated thing of 2025. The only other thing confirmed is season 3, or volume 3, as they're calling it, of Star Wars Visions. No release date has been given. We can kind of guess that it might be May the 4th. Andor should be right in the middle of its season around that time. We usually get some type of drop on May the 4th. Last year, it was Tales of the Empire. The year before, it was Visions Volume 2. So Visions Volume 3 seems like a logical drop for May the 4th, but that means we'd have 7 months in the year where we have no Star Wars TV schedule. Could it be an animated show? Could it be an anime? It won't be a live action show. I think that's the only thing we know, unless Ahsoka takes a dramatic step forward. So out of the 2 Star Wars shows, Sanak, I know which one you're most excited for, but let me know, what are your thoughts on the 2 things we know about next year, and what do you think could be in store for us as we get into 2025 Star Wars TV?
Yeah, I don't really care too much about Andor. Just looking forward to Visions. That's my bread and butter. No, I can't even keep a straight face saying that. But yeah, no, it's Andor season 2. Very excited. Bix, I think she's gonna have a huge role this season. I'm very curious what that means. I'm excited for seeing Cyril, who kind of started off with Cassian, but then became like just a Dedra stalker and trying to work with Imperials. I would love a twisted romance between them, like a love-hate relationship. I think Gilroy, ironically, has been really one of the best creatives recently when it comes to connecting with other Star Wars mediums, other Star Wars stories kind of told around this era. So we know Gorman Massacre is going to happen. The one thing about season 1 that I don't love necessarily is Mon Mothma's so disconnected. She is so disconnected from everything. And it's like a very tragic story that she's kind of like forced to like accept her daughter's being sold off to like this very corrupt dude from Gendrilla and all that. So I want to see a little bit more integration with her in that story. And we're gonna get Saw back and all that. We need Jimmy Smits back as Bail Organa. I want to see what Mon Mothma has been able to get from Andor. I hope that he gets to have that with Bail Organa. I want to see what they do with Luthen. That's even more messed up than usual. Why he probably isn't alive by Rogue One. Visions, the only thing I'm like super excited for is that it's all anime studios, and I'd like to see some sequels to what they did in season 1, especially like the Ninth Jedi sequel perchance. I am excited for both, but definitely one over the other.
Yeah, completely agree. I mean, it's Andor season 2's year. Even if something else was coming out next year, I don't think anything can rival anticipation for Andor season 2. Incredibly excited for season 2. Trying to temper my expectations a little bit because I'm hesitant and a little bit nervous about the arcs for the show, especially jumping a year, because I think one of the things that works so well in season 1 is, even though season 1 does kind of feature little arcs and then some bridge episodes between arcs, it also does such a great job of building on its characters and having them slowly change over the course of 12 episodes. And it gives Star Wars its truly first prestige show. Season 2, you can have those moments now that we're familiar with the characters, and I think that's the big plus side of doing these year jumps, is we're already familiar with all the characters that are going to be here. So I'm a little bit cautiously optimistic around the structure of season 2, because it is so different from the structure of season 1. Because it's so different, even if tonally it's the same, even if the attention to detail, the action, the excitement around the show is the same, structure wise being so different, it does lend itself to possibly being disappointed if you just want season 1. But again, as for Visions, I'm in a similar boat. I loved a lot of Visions season 1. There were some episodes that you can just throw away entirely, but I did appreciate the fact that it was all anime. Anime is such a popular art form right now. It's something I've really grown to love so much over the last 4 or 5 years, and I appreciate they're going back to that, because that was kind of the initial intention with Visions. Anyways, we're going to Japan this year for Star Wars Celebration, so it's a year to celebrate Japanese animation, and I'm hoping Visions is another great package, because both seasons of Visions had really high highs. I think just season 1 had way much better episodes overall outside of Screecher's Reach in season 2. Here's to hoping Visions is great, and here's to hoping we get something else in 2025, because even though 2026 should be a huge year for Star Wars, especially if you're a Mandoverse fan with Mandalorian Grogu and Ahsoka season 2, it would be disappointing if all our Star Wars comes out by May. Let us know what your most anticipated Star Wars show of the year is. I assume it is Andor season 2. So let's move on to games. So gaming in Star Wars is another one that's up in the air. We have no idea if anything is coming out next year in Star Wars games, at least for AAA Star Wars games. We do have quite a few things that are in production. Let's move on to Star Wars books, because Star Wars books are more straightforward this year. We know exactly what's coming out when it comes to Star Wars books. Star Wars books, we have multiple adult and young adult books coming out next year, including finally the end of the High Republic, or at least the main High Republic story that's been featured in phase 1 and phase 3. But the year starts off with our first book coming out on February 25th, 2025, Reign of the Empire, The Mask of Fear. So that's the first book in a new series. This one's written by Alexander Freed, who wrote the Alphabet Squadron trilogy, as well as Battlefront, Twilight Company. And then we have on April 1st, 2025, The High Republic Into the Light by Claudia Gray. It's the final young adult book in the High Republic, coming off one of the best young adult books ever in the High Republic with Tears of the Nameless. So my expectations are pretty high for Into the Light, and it's Claudia Gray who is returning to the High Republic for the first time in novel form since The Fallen Star. Then we have a junior novel from Justina Ireland. It is A Valiant Vow, that is coming out May 6th. And on the same day, another adult novel, also by Justina Ireland. It's the day of Justina Ireland, The Acolyte Wayseeker. Then we have the script version for Tempest Breaker coming out May 13th. If you're somebody who doesn't like to listen to audio dramas and you want to read that story, you can read that on May 13th. And then you have The High Republic Trials of the Jedi, which is the final adult novel and has been delayed multiple times. So hopefully this date holds. It's written by Charles Soule. It is scheduled for June 17th. Sucks that it's 6 months from now, and it sucks that it's almost 2 full years after the phase 3 started, but we are getting it eventually this year. Then on July 29th, the last book we know for sure is coming out. The Acolyte, The Crystal Crown by Tessa Gratton is coming out. It's a young adult book that is following Jecki and Yord from The Acolyte. So I listed all those things. Sanak, what's the most anticipated Star Wars book for you in 2025?
Well, for first half of the year, I think that's super strong, honestly. Obviously, this is the ending of the High Republic, so excited for what that means, and that basically means I'm fully invested in Trials of the Jedi. Looking forward to that. Mask of Fear. I just have not read enough Alexander Freed. I've started a lot of stuff like Twilight Company and all that. Anything with Mon Mothma will intrigue me. I'm excited for that because I think she's become such a strong character, such a better character in canon, and I want to see her perspective. If there's any inputs from Bale and Saw for this book too, Saw's always going to be the wild card, and he's going to say something crazy that is kind of real, but maybe not. So locked in for those 2 books. Those are probably the ones I'm most excited for.
For us, we've been invested in the High Republic since literally the day Light of the Jedi came out. How can I not say Trials of the Jedi at this point is my most anticipated Star Wars book of next year? Just have too much invested in this world, and it's been too good overall to lose that investment. Even if I'm getting a little bit tired of the initiative, even if it is overstaying its welcome in terms of how long the initiative's been stretched out, I still want to know what happens. And so I'm very excited for it. Light of the Jedi still being my favorite book in the High Republic, or like tied for my favorite book in the High Republic. I'm excited for Charles Soule to come back. Almost everything he touches is at least really good. That would be my number 1 by far. Reign of the Empire, for very similar reasons. Alexander Freed has done a great job at writing really mature Star Wars stories, really complex characters, and I'm really excited to see what he does when he takes on characters that we know. I think somebody like Saw is perfect for him to write. Like, he will absolutely nail it. He did a great job writing Hera. He's a good person to kickstart this. He's a good person to tackle these 3 specific characters, and this is right in his wheelhouse. It's politics and it's war, and I think he's going to do great with that book. So really looking forward to that. And then looking forward to Into the Light for 2 reasons. One is Claudia Gray, and it has been years, 3 years since she's written a Star Wars book. And then also Tears of the Nameless was so good in the young adult realm that I'm hoping with the return to Into the Light, with it Wreath and Comac being her characters and them getting so much play in Tears of the Nameless, I'm hoping that we actually get some continuity in the young adult side of Star Wars The High Republic, where we actually go from book to book with the same characters finally. Those are our books for 2025 that we know of as of July 29th, 2025. Let us know what your guys' most anticipated Star Wars books are. And let's talk about comics real quick, because like we mentioned, 2024, transition year for comics. There are a lot of things changing into 2025, and we have a couple big series starting. But the year starts off with Battle of Jakku is coming out next week. We have The Last Stand issues number 3, and then the week after issue number 4. So that should wrap up the Battle of Jakku stuff. We're also getting the paperback for the High Republic Adventures Volume 2 from Phase 3. We get the Jango Fett miniseries paperback, Jango Fett Trail of Lost Hope, the High Republic Adventures Saber for Hire trade paperback, if you're looking forward to reading that full story. We get the New Legacy issue number 1 on January 29th, as well as Ewoks issue number 4. High Republic Adventures 2023 issue number 14, the High Republic Adventures Phase 3 Annual, High Republic Adventures Dispatches from the Occlusion Zone number 4, and the High Republic Adventures Echoes of Fear number 4. Then on February 5th, we get Legacy of Vader number 1, and I know that's one of the most anticipated series for most of us in 2025, just continuing a lot of the stuff with Kylo Ren, it being a Charles Soule book. February 12th, we get the Hyperspace Stories, the Bad Batch Ghost Agents number 1, and we get the High Republic Adventures Phase 3 issue number 15. Then on February 19th, we get Ahsoka issue number 8 and the High Republic Fear of the Jedi number 1. That is the sequel series to the High Republic Phase 3 from Marvel. The Rise of Skywalker adaptation is coming back. It's been resurrected, and it's coming back on February 26th. Hyperspace Stories Qui-Gon Jinn was supposed to come out last year, and it is now coming out March 4th, 2025. That's a graphic novel. And then the next most anticipated comic series for a lot of you guys is starting on March 5th. That is Jedi Knights issue number 1. It is written by Mark Guggenheim, who wrote the Han Solo and Chewbacca series. You got Legacy of Vader issue number 2 coming out on March 12th, as well as High Republic Adventures Phase 3 issue number 16. March 18th, you get your first omnibus of the year. The Old Republic Omnibus Volume 1 is getting reprinted. The Inquisitor miniseries is getting its trade paperback on March 25th. March 26th, you're getting the Hyperspace Stories Bad Batch Ghost Agents number 2, as well as High Republic Fear of the Jedi number 2, Rise of Skywalker issue number 2. April 8th, you are getting the High Republic The Edge of Balance Premonition volume. April 9th, you're getting the Hyperspace Stories Codebreaker number 1, a new series from Hyperspace Stories. April 16th, you're getting the High Republic Adventures Phase 3 issue number 17. April 22nd, you're getting the Edge of Balance volume 4. Then on April 22nd, you're also getting the High Republic Adventures Echoes of Fear trade paperback. Then you got the Crimson Reign omnibus coming out April 29th, 2025. And then we go on to Ahsoka Season 1 trade paperback April 29th, the High Republic Adventures Crash Zone. April 30th, you're getting Hyperspace Stories, the Bad Batch Ghost Agents number 3, and the High Republic Adventures Phase 3, the Battle of Iriadu. Then on May 3rd, it's Free Comic Book Day. We're getting Star Wars and a all ages Star Wars comic. Then on May 6th, you're getting Darth Maul Black, White, and Red Treasury Edition. That's the big oversized paperbacks. May 20th is the High Republic Adventures Volume 3 from Phase 3, so you can collect the third volume of that series there. The Battle of Jakku trade paperback is coming out June 3rd, so the series is wrapping up here in January, and you won't be able to read it in paperback if you want the whole thing till June 3rd. Then we're getting the third omnibus, and I think what should be the final omnibus in the Rebellion series. Then June 24th, you get the High Republic Adventures Dispatches from the Inclusion Zone trade paperback. July 8th, you get the Ewoks series in trade paperback. And then July 22nd, you get the next Modern Era Epic Collection. Then you get the Visions Treasury on August 5th. And then finally, you get the trade paperback for Legacy of Vader, the first volume, on September 3rd in 2025. So that's a lot of information, I know. But Sonic, we do have two big exciting series that are starting in 2025, and then I'm sure we'll get more announcements for other things coming out of the two big series and some of the other things that are coming out this year. What are your most anticipated Star Wars comics?
Yeah, I mean, I think I got like a top 3 here. Obviously gonna go with Legacy of Vader. I think the fact that it's gonna be ongoing is gonna be huge because Rise of Kylo Ren is really good, but it's super short and condensed. But I'd love for him to kind of go back to that story, pull more elements, flesh that out while he's doing the current day events set between The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker. More sequel content, the better, because that's the only way you can make it an era instead of just a trilogy with Resistance and a bunch of random books, right? So this is gonna be huge for that character. Jedi Knights, I don't know. I'm excited. I think there's gonna be a lot of vibes similar to like 1998 Star Wars without the weird arcs and stuff that it goes through, a little bit more one-offs, more pairings and all that. The thing I'm most excited about is that they're bringing back At the Prime, who was supposed to be part of this like Kenner expansion line past episode 6, because they're like, this is a money maker for us. I'm massively curious if they're gonna reuse a lot of the same elements and then just push it up to Phantom Menace era, which honestly I think would work better. And then Fear of the Jedi, just have to give it a shot because I did like the High Republic line for Phase 3 from Marvel. Excited to see Kel Naka be part of the crew because I did really like his one shot as well. I think we're gonna have a really strong year of comics with existing stuff and then a lot of new ideas and then some legacy things being converted into some really interesting stories.
For me, it's easily Legacy of Vader, and it's just because it is Charles Soule. He is the king of Star Wars canon comics. It's two of his best things that he's written, bringing him back. Vader is the kind of undisputed best thing in Star Wars canon comics, and it's so much better than really second place that it is really exciting. And then Rise of Kylo Ren is certainly too short, but what's there is really, really good. It's exciting to see him go back to a character that he really cares about, a story he really cares about, and connect a lot of the stuff that he's written. Jedi Knights is something that should be fun. Just because Mark Guggenheim hasn't written anything I've absolutely loved with Star Wars canon, I don't have super high expectations. The art is great. I love the art. I love that it does feature people like Dooku. And I hope it is in the spirit of 98, because 98's comics, there are a lot of goofy arcs, but at least you get to have some adventures with some of these characters, and it does add some lore to them. And then High Republic, of course, Fear of the Jedi is exciting because Kevin Scott has really been the one to lead the way for comics throughout a lot of the High Republic. A lot of this stuff has just gotten really uneven with the Phase 2 time jump or time reverse, and then jumping back to Phase 3, and then having audio dramas fill in a lot of gaps, and then having stuff like The Fallen Star answer some questions. A lot of it's felt uneven. So if we can have a nice, strong miniseries to end this whole thing, I think it can come out a little bit better than it has been, where I feel like the Star Wars High Republic comics, especially on the Marvel side, have been a little worse for wear. So that's going to do it for 2025. Like the video if you haven't, subscribe for more. Thank you so much for watching this video, and we will see you all next time.